we're lost. Why didn't you ask for directions?
Well,
I mean, where are we?
Yeah, I have no idea where we are.
Whoa, is this the Lost Village? This is cool.
I wouldn't touch that if I were you.
Well, now that you said that, all I want to do is touch it.
Oh, look at me! Look at me!
Guys?
Who are they?
Oh, Brady!
Get back! You don't know me like that! Get back! You don't know me like that!
Hey, I gotta give him a lot of credit for actually playing around with the trailer card. Again, I wish more trailers did that. Like, have fun with the trailer card. Do that. What's funny about that is that I saw that one later on, but a lot of people saw the original trailer when it dropped on Sony's website, and needless to say, it did not start off the way that did, because, you see, Jack McBraier's Smurf character messing around with the trailer card for a little bit there. It's trimmed down a lot more in the trailer I first saw online, and let's just say that, yeah, I think me and a lot of people were very jump-scared by what we saw from that original first trailer that we saw on the Sony YouTube page. Take a look for yourself.
Is this the Lost Village?
I don't know why it was trimmed down on there, but man, the first time I saw that that Smurf face comes at your face, it's just like, Jesus Christ, like, what is that? But, anyway, welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We are jumping into April 2017. We have 6 movies to take a look at today. Most of them are not very good, especially our first film, which, man, talk about a major disappointment, especially after that great trailer right there. But, Smurfs: The Lost Village. This is the 3rd installment of the Smurfs franchise from Sony after the 2 live-action movies, and they were going to do a 3rd live-action film, but because the second one wasn't a big hit, they just said, okay, we'll just go down the animation route, which is what they should have done, and you thought this movie would probably be doing that, but, nope, not so much. In this fully animated, all-new take on the Smurfs, a mysterious map sets Smurfette, voiced by Demi Lovato, and her best friends Brainy, Clumsy, and Hefty on an exciting and thrilling ride through the Forbidden Forest filled with magical creatures to find a mysterious lost village before the evil wizard Gargamel, voiced by Rainn Wilson, does. Embarking on a roller coaster journey full of action and danger, the Smurfs are on a course that leads to the discovery of the biggest secret in Smurfs history. More on that a little bit here, but like I said, I've said this before, the Smurfs is one of those shows I used to watch a lot when it was on Cartoon Network and USA Network back in the 90s, and since then, Sony just took those characters and basically just did everything in their power to destroy whatever goodwill this franchise had. I mean, granted, the first 2 Smurf movies were passable nowadays, especially considering what they've done with the movies since then. They weren't great movies overall. I mean, they were directed by Raja. I make movies with zero effort because idiots see whatever should I put out, God's no. I mean, yeah, the same director who gave us Home Alone 3, Yours, Mine, and Ours, and Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and the first 2 Scooby-Doo movies. So, yeah, what do you think was going to happen there? But with this, you thought maybe, just maybe, that Sony Pictures finally got the hint. They axed that 3rd live-action Smurfs movie, like I said, because it was a financial critical disaster. The second one was. And finally, someone at Sony Pictures Animation said, hey, you know what? Let's make this franchise successful with an all-CG animated film so people can shut up about these live-action films. So finally, we have a fully animated Smurf movie, spectacular. And, needless to say, they did complete step 1 in making an actually good Smurf movie. Unfortunately, that's the only thing they accomplished here, because, yeah, someone didn't read the rest of the steps, because, holy mother of God, this was just a mess. I mean, they didn't even try to do anything different here. They basically took the script for that 3rd live-action film, removed all the humans except for Gargamel, took out the city aspects, set it in Smurf Village, and kept all the things we hated about the first 2 Smurf movies in this to begin with. You still have those scenes of nothing but Smurfs screaming at the top of their lungs. I mean, you just saw it in the trailer there. Because apparently, that's entertainment for kids, according to Sony. You still have these stupid modern-day references. You still have these preconceived notions of what Sony thinks kids like, and putting them in there. You got loud noises and obnoxiously written characters and situations. It's all still in here, and it's like they just didn't give a shit. I mean, right down to the Lost Village itself. Remember the line in the synopsis for this? The Smurfs are on a course that leads to the discovery of the biggest secret in Smurfs history. Ooh. Yeah, you want to know what that big secret is? The Lost Village is nothing but female Smurfs. You know why I know that? Not because of the movie, because the marketing spoiled it for you. There's trailers later on and commercials before the movie even came out where they are showing you Julia Roberts as one of the Smurf women. There's like other ones, other characters voiced by who else do they have here? They have they have Ellie Kemper, Michelle Rodriguez, Ariel Winter, Megan Trainor. Once again, a stacked voice cast, which we'll get to in a little bit here, but yeah, they basically spoiled everything in here. And sadly, this was becoming a trend. This was a trend that they were doing a lot of back in the late 2000s, late 2010s. I know they'd been doing this beforehand, but it seemed like they just didn't care. For a movie like this, they just didn't care. Like, they just wanted to get a movie out there to make you think that they learned their lesson, and they really have not. Like, why do you keep spoiling the secrets of your damn movie in the trailers? Why is this becoming a trend? Why do we keep spoiling the biggest twists and turns of the movie in the advertising? You have literally taken away the whole movie's purpose by spoiling the twist. I mean, I'm making more sense than a friggin' studio that's been around for nearly 100 years, and I've only been writing reviews for, what now, 21 years now? Just ridiculous. Not to mention, the twist only exists because of a fluke in the original storyline, which I'm pretty sure they didn't even bother to make other female Smurfs, so they said, hey, we've got a movie here. Just like, to its credit, though, I'll give it this. The animation does look good. Some of the voice work is okay. It is like the original Smurfs cartoon from the 80s in a CG format, but other than that, that's about it, man. And somehow they made it even worse when Paramount got their hands on it with last summer's Smurfs. I mean, like, after 4 movies of trying to make the Smurfs a viable franchise, they have basically turned the Smurfs into the Minions, and not in a good way, the unfunny Minions. Like, it says a lot when the original Smurfs and the Magic Flute movie from the 1980s, which didn't have any of the Hanna-Barbera people, because that was a movie that was originally released in the country that the Smurfs are from in the 1970s, and when they got to the 80s, when it came out during the 1980s, they essentially had to get a new voice cast altogether because they couldn't pay the Hanna-Barbera actors to come in and do those voices. So, but even that movie is not a mess overall, but it's still way better than anything we've gotten since then. This is what happens when you have no real intent on making a good Smurfs film. All this movie was essentially to just keep the licensing rights to the Smurfs. That's all this movie was. Keep whatever licensing and merchandising rights you can make by making a bad movie in the process. I mean, it's the Man of Steel method, people. That's how Warner Brothers kept Superman's rights, because they got a movie in production in 2011, which they had to get it by then, and then, the movie came out 2 years later, and that's how Warner Brothers kept Superman's rights. But you want to know why Sony Pictures was on such a downward spiral over the last few years? Movies like this. It's because they don't take any of the time and effort to make actual quality movies anymore. At least back then they didn't, but it just makes whatever they think makes money. It's why Tom Rothman should not have had that job in the beginning, because he did the exact same thing when he was at Fox, and now he was doing it with Sony. And this summer, where you have Spider-Man coming up and looking very promising in the MCU with the help of Marvel Studios, as I said, and a long-awaited adaptation of The Dark Tower coming out, what was the movie that was supposed to make or break the studio? The Emoji Movie. Not Spider-Man, not Dark Tower, the Emoji Movie. And I'm not kidding. There was actually a point where the future of the entire studio was riding on the Emoji Movie being successful because they were about to sell their TV and movie rights. That's how bad Sony was in such a dilemma right now. They were mere months away from selling off their film and TV line altogether if the Emoji Movie doesn't make a profit. Of course, the Emoji Movie was a huge flop, but somehow they made a profit because, hey, Spider-Man Homecoming actually turned out to be pretty good, and I hope the Emoji Movie, and I'm glad that Emoji Movie failed. I hope that it fails because the studio needs a gigantic wake-up call, which it eventually did. Not too long after this, they started putting out good movies again, took chances where they needed to, and so far they have been very successful in the last, 10 years? Near 10 years since this has come out, but with Smurfs: The Lost Village, it only exists to keep the licensing and make a bad movie by making a movie based on a fluke in the original Smurfs continuity. It's a bad film. It's a really bad film. And a waste of a great cast, too. I mean, you've got a cast that includes, like I said, Demi Lovato. You have Jack McBrayer, Joe Manganiello, Mandy Patinkin, Danny Pudi, Julia Roberts, Rainn Wilson, Ellie Kemper, Michelle Rodriguez, Ariel Winter, Megan Trainor, Jake Johnson, Gordon Ramsay, Titus Burgess, Gabriel Iglesias, Jeff Dunham. Like, it's the same problem with the last movie, too. With the most recent movie, too. Like, for some reason, they care more about stacking the deck with all these big celebrity names instead of actually focusing on actually giving the Smurfs a good story to tell, a story that actually is relevant to why the Smurfs were popular back in the 1980s. But no, we can't do that. But to its credit, it's not one of the worst CG animated movies I've ever seen. I mean, there have been much worse. It's no Norm in the North. It's no Rock Dog. It's no Shark Tale. I mean, it's a little bit higher than the Lorax, but even then, the Lorax is still one of the worst major studio computer animated movies ever made. This is definitely up there with it, though. I mean, that's how bad it is. Like, this thing makes the Boss Baby look like Citizen Kane by comparison. Like, that's how bad this is. That's how terrible Smurfs The Lost Village is. You just prove that the Smurfs are just not destined for a film franchise or for any kind of movie. If two studios technically, but two studios, 4 films, and this is the best they can do with them. Just, it's bad. It's really, really bad. So, let's see if we can turn the tide around, because Zach Braff is back with a new movie he's directing, so let's take a look and see what he can do with Going in Style.
Now, gentlemen, when you're shopping for melons, hold them in your hands to make sure that they have a good shape, and don't get hung up on the size. You should just be thankful that your grocery store lets you touch melons at all.
40 years I worked for that company, and now they're stealing our pensions.
That's my bank. That's my bank.
I want to rob that bank.
Here. Let's go get our money back. We took exactly what's on the pension. Any more, give it to charity.
From now on, you communicate by texting.
How do you work without buttons?
It's a touch screen.
I'm groping it all over, nothing happens.
Go big or go home. Let's go and help the elderly.
This is not an admission of guilt. Oh, I'm just tired.
Going in Style. Only in cinemas.
What the fuck was up with that marketing in the beginning? I never saw that opening there with Anne Margaret talking about, hey, here's how you buy melons at a supermarket. It's just like, what is that? Like, what is... Maybe that's the reason why this movie kind of came and went, because everyone was looking at the marketing going like, what the fuck am I looking at here? But this movie sounds very familiar. Not only does it sound like a remake of a 1979 film with the same name, but it stars Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin as a trio of retirees who plan to rob a bank after their pensions are canceled. Sounds a lot like the movie Stand Up Guys, which literally sounds like the exact same movie. But Zach Braff directed this one. The writer of this is Ted Melfi, who just did Hidden Figures and St. Vincent. 2 much better movies, but this... Yeah, I have no idea what this movie was supposed to be, man. I mean, this movie is pretty lazy. It's a really lousy film, with a lot of good actors being wasted on this. Not just Freeman, Caine, and Arkin, but Joey King, Matt Dillon, Christopher Lloyd, Anne Margaret, John Ortiz, Siobhan Fallon Hogan. A lot of really good people involved in this movie, and there could have been something good here, but it's a film that plays it way too safe. I think the consensus on Rotten Tomatoes kind of sums it up nicely. Light on laughs, plays it way too safe. And, you know, there was a much better movie with older guys who were trying to who became like some sort of criminals, like The Crew, with that movie with Burt Reynolds and Richard Dreyfuss and Dan Hedaya and Seymour Cassell. That was a funny movie, and that one took chances. This one does not, man. This movie is pretty lame and just part of a really bad year for comedies, the more I think about it, honestly. Because, yeah, this one's right up there with some of the worst comedies of the year, honestly. This is just... It's a pretty lazy movie on so many levels, and just a film that... I don't even know what the whole idea of it was overall, but, yeah, it was a really, really rough year for comedies, the more I think about it. And we'll probably get to some more of them as we go along here, but let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is, hey, gotta have another faith-based movie to try to create the next God's Not Dead type of phenomenon. Let's see if The Case for Christ can do that.
Entire career uncovering the truth until the day my wife presented me with the biggest story of my life. And what happened next changed me forever.
I'm praying for you. What you're proposing is impossible.
Do you want to know the truth, or is your mind already made up?
Whenever someone looks in those eyes for the first time, suddenly becomes a real person.
I'll give it this. It's definitely one of the better faith-based movies, but then again, you have a director like, this is not the same director I thought. I thought this was the same director that did, I thought this was the same director that did American Underdog, the Kurt Warner movie, but no, that's two different people. But no, this is the same director that did My Date with Drew, that movie about the guy who was so desperate to go on a date with Drew Barrymore. He made a documentary about it, and I mean, to go from that to this, I mean, at least he got better as he went along as a filmmaker. This is a true story based off the book of the same name, where you follow an atheist journalist who's looking to disprove his wife's Christian faith. The atheist played by Mike Vogel, and the wife being played by Erica Christensen. You also have Faye Dunaway and Robert Forster among the cast here. And like I said, it's actually not that bad of a film in general. I think it did a much better job of kind of being more of a mass-appealing movie than something like A God's Not Dead, or even this director's previous movie, Do You Believe? But, I wouldn't say it's a great movie overall, but it's a film where I can at least say that, hey, they at least made a movie that I think it can work not just for the faith-based audience, but for outside the faith-based audience. I think it's a film that works fine for what it is. It's no grand masterpiece or anything like that, but at least it's a movie that's at least trying, and you gotta give it credit where credit is due on that, so. Not much more to say about that one. That is The Case for Christ, so let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, a new anime film, and that is Your Name.
Guard fell. It was almost like
seeing something out of a dream. Nothing more or less than a breathtaking view.
Now, I know a lot of what I showed you there doesn't have anything to do with the movie itself, because the plot of this movie is that it's a movie that's essentially inspired by the frequencies of natural disasters in Japan and depicts the story of two high school students, Taki Chachinbana and Mitsura Miramizu. I know I'm getting that name wrong, but who suddenly begin to swap bodies despite never having met, unleashing chaos onto each other's lives. And it's actually the first installment of a trilogy of films from this director, Makoto Shinkai, who did a disaster trilogy called Weathering with You and Suzanne, which if you look at those posters, they are very similar to the poster for Your Name here. And this thing was very, very popular, and it was at one point the highest grossing Japanese film of all time, up until Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train, came out in 2020. And actually ended up getting nominated for several awards. I don't think I got a Best Animated Feature Oscar nomination, but there was a live-action film in development at Paramount and Bad Robot, but that's been a long time ago, and I'm pretty sure that project probably didn't go anywhere, especially after the pandemic and the WGA strike of 2023. Now, as far as the movie itself goes, I haven't seen it. I mean, I've seen the imagery for this in places all over. I've seen it on Blu-rays when I've been to Best Buy. I have not been able to pick the movie up, so I can't really tell you if it's any good or not. But it's one I've been wanting to see for a while now. It's been that, Weathering with You, and Suzanne are films that I've been wanting to check out. I just never had the time to really do so. So, not much more I can really say about it, except it's one I've been wanting to see for a while now. So hopefully, sooner rather than later, I'll get around to it at some point. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie from the latest film from the director of 500 Days of Summer. That is it directed by the guy who Toy Boat? Is it directed by Mark Webb? Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, it is directed by Mark Webb. And I did not know this, but one of the little girl in this movie is actually a notable actress now. Let's talk about this movie called Gifted.
Please don't make me go. You can keep homeschooling me.
Tell you everything I know. No more argument, okay? We've discussed this ad nauseum.
What's ad nauseum?
You don't know? Wow, looks like someone needs school.
Good morning, Miss Stevenson.
Who can tell me what 3 plus 3 is?
Everyone knows it's 6.
Barry, can you stand up, please? Can you tell me what 57 multiplied by 135 is? Okay.
7,695. The square root is 87.7 and change. Now, what does ad nauseum mean?
I listen to the wind of my soul.
I think your niece may be gifted.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have our title drop. I can only imagine that they put that in the trailer because some marketing executive saw that line read by Jenny Slate and said, "That's a good idea for our movie. Let's call it that." So, Gifted tells the story of an intellectually gifted 7-year-old who becomes the subject of a custody battle between her maternal uncle and maternal grandmother. The uncle being played by Chris Evans in that role, and the grandmother being played by Lindsay Duncan. The girl is played by McKenna Grace, who you now know as Stevie from the Ghostbusters movies, and more recently she was in Regretting You, and now she's going to be Daphne in the Scooby-Doo Netflix series. I believe this was one of her early film roles that I've ever seen her in, like, because I know she had done stuff for The Young and the Restless, and she was on that Disney XD show Crash and Bernstein. We might have covered her in a movie beforehand, I think. Let me see. Oh yeah, she was in Mr. Church. She was in that movie too, but she was in the Angry Birds movie too, and Independence Day Resurgence. I mean, I just touched on those movies is in 2016, but I had no idea. I completely forgot that she was even in those movies. I mean, I knew she was in Mr. Church, but I didn't know she was in Angry Birds or Independence Day. But regardless, though, she does give a really good performance in this movie that shows you the actor she'll eventually become, and turn out to be one of those really great actresses in general overall. Chris Evans was really good in the movie, too. Unfortunately, it's one of those movies that's definitely very much a been there, done that type of storyline here. It's a movie that's essentially a custody battle film disguised with a story about this smart girl in general, but they don't really focus on that part in particular. They focus mostly on the custody battle, and you can't make custody battles really do not really make for great movies overall. I mean, not all of them can be Kramer versus Kramer, where they turn out to be Best Picture winners. You also have Jenny Slate, like I said, Octavia Spencer in here. They're okay in this. The performances overall are good. Mark Webb does a good job returning to form with a film like this as a director. But other than that, though, the movie itself has very much been there, done that. And despite all the strong performances that are holding it together, it's not enough to make it a film that I would say is a must-see overall. But not a bad movie, but not a great one either. So take that for what you will. So yeah, we've been kind of so-so on a lot of... It's actually a lot of these movies this week have been downright terrible, except for Your Name, because I haven't seen it. Can we turn the tide around with Colossal? Well, the premise for it is pretty interesting. That's for damn sure.
A giant monster just materialized from her soul.
That happened like 9 hours ago. You're just hearing about this.
Yeah.
It's like it's being operated by remote control.
Gloria, you gotta see this. It's dancing.
Is dancing like...
Holy shit.
Yeah, this is a weird movie, but you know what? Sometimes the weirdest movies turn out to be the best movies of the weekend, and that's exactly what we have here. So, here's the story here. Anne Hathaway is an unemployed writer who unwillingly manifests a giant reptilian creature in Seoul, Korea, while struggling with alcoholism and a misanthropic colleague. That colleague being played by Jason Sudeikis. You also see Dan Stevens in here, as well as Tim Blake Nelson. So it sounds like they took the idea from Ed and Nettie, you know, the episode where Ed thought he was a monster, and the more he personified that monster, the more he became that monster and terrorized the cul-de-sac. I mean, that's what it felt like with this episode, with this movie in general. And, you know, you have a film directed by Nacho Vigalondo, who is known for making these bizarre films and films overall, Time Crimes, Extraterrestrial, and, you know, he did stuff for the ABCs of Death and VHS Viral. He's a good director, and this is probably the first overall film that I've seen from him where it really shows his full capabilities as a director by creating something unique and creative with these themes overall, and how this woman is controlling this monster in general. The movie overall is just a really good, fun film all across the board. And it's just so ridiculously over the top and insane. It's just something that you gotta see to believe. They summed it up nice. Anne Hathaway kind of summed it up nicely when she called it Godzilla meets Lost in Translation, which is funny because before they began filming, Toho actually brought on a lawsuit against the production company for this, for unauthorized usage of Godzilla's image. So, and then a settlement was eventually reached right before filming started. It's a really good movie, man. It's one that I just took a look at yesterday because I knew what the premise was sort of like. I wasn't prepared for how crazy and insane this movie is, in a good way. Like, it's a really good movie, and one that you should definitely check out. If you want to see something that's so bizarre and yet so touching and heartwarming at the same time, Colossal's that movie to do it with, man. It's a really, really good movie, and one I highly recommend checking out. Seek out Colossal if you haven't seen it. And so, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and what's that I hear? Choo-choo! The shit train continues for the spring of 2017, and guess what? Choo-choo! I don't know why I'm doing that. It's another double feature weekend because we're taking a look at 2 weekends next time around. Because on April 14th, we only have one big new release, and not a very good one. The Fate of the Furious, the movie where the Fast and Furious series starts to begin its inevitable downfall, and it's mostly because of, A, repeating the same film over again. We'll touch on that. But, 2, the addition of one of the worst characters, easily the worst character in the Fast and Furious movies. But we'll touch on that tomorrow. But what will we look at for the second weekend? Well, we'll take a look at, again, not a very good slate of movies from what I'm seeing here. I mean, we're really in a tough stretch of movies here. I mean, you've got Born in China, the latest Disney nature movie, which was the highest of the new releases that weekend. We have Katherine Heigl and Rosario Dawson in the thriller Unforgettable, which, not a good sign if the movie is called Unforgettable, and most people forget this movie even existed. We have The Promise, which features Christian Bale, Oscar Isaac, Charlotte LeBon, I think that is. I don't remember this movie, honestly, the more I look at it. But we'll take a look at that, and is that it? Is it just those 4 films? What's Free Fire? Well, we'll take a look at Free Fire, because that's one that has Brie Larson in it, and that was one of the more notable films coming out around that time. So 5 films overall to take a look at over the course of 2 weekends. That'll be tomorrow here on the channel, so please stay tuned for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Check out the playlist and check out our previous episode as well. With all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.